Hello, hello, everybody. How everybody's doing today? Hello, hello, Spain, Roger, Sarah, Sandra. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, guys. So Laura could not make it today. She had to deal with some personal issues. So I am going to have a friend of mine, Michael, join shortly from the Untold Stories, his YouTube channel. So we got a very special guest today. But before that, I want to tell everybody what's up with me lately. So let me tell you, the first time it like snowed this morning, and I was like, I was up in arms because first of all, I hate the winter and I hate snow. So everybody asked me, well, why don't you just move to somewhere tropical? I like the four seasons. That's what it is. I like my summer, I like my spring, I like my fall, and I like my winter. So that's the main reason why. But yeah, so I didn't really care for that. Hi, Spain. Good to see you. Hey, I see ghosts. Good to see you. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining. So if you haven't already, I have a very new live podcast that's coming up Friday evening, starting next week at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. So it's actually going to be just me chatting with all of you. Just chatting with all of you to see what is, new. And I was thinking, it's just a little something different. We could chat about crystals. We could chat about meditation. We could chat about chakras. Anything that you guys want to chat about is fine with me. So, that's all that's basically going new with me besides this show right here. Which I have, lined up for every 2 weeks. Although December, I don't really have anybody lined up. I may take a little break, but I'll still have my podcast every week. So guys, if you're thinking about any topics you want to just discuss with just me, getting to know me and me getting to know you, just let me know. Okay. So before I would do, let's bring on our guests. So from the shadows of cinema's forgotten vaults comes a voice both playful and piercing. He laughs at the observed, critics to classics, and shines a lantern on the bizarre. Tonight, we welcome Robin, the mind behind the Dark Corners Review. Let's bring him on. Hello, Robin.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Let's say hello to a couple more of our guests. Hello, Face to Ace. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. And of course, I already said hello to the others. So Robin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a writer and film reviewer from Britain, obviously. I live in the West Country here, where there is no snow. Not at the moment. And I've been presenting and writing a YouTube series called Dark Corners for about 15 years now, where we start out just doing funny reviews of bad movies, sort of MST3K idea, but much shorter. And we grew from there, doing longer specials, more serious stuff about films that we actually liked. And then we started doing reviews of sort of odd streaming movies, rare ones that you can find. And we just recently started doing physical media reviews as well of Blu-ray and 4K stuff. Been following the Hammer's recent releases most conspicuously. And and that's what we do. Mostly horror, but just sort of generally cult stuff. And from that, I also write a series of books, which are also horror, slightly tongue-in-cheek, inspired by classic cinema. Classic cinema is my first love.
That is awesome. Awesome. Let me just get Michael here. Oh, where is Michael? Oh, there he is.
How's Michael?
There he is.
Hello.
Hi, Michael.
Sorry,
thank you for joining.
Happy to be here. Sorry I'm late. I was out doing shopping. I thought the time was for later. I forgot Eastern time completely.
Yes. Yes, yes. So we actually have this podcast on 5 channels, guys. So I'm sorry, it's a little bit confusing. The Facebook one, unfortunately, is having technical difficulties, but it's on my channel, on the CMPS channel on YouTube, and also on Wonders of the World Network, which is my network. So please, I'm sorry, guys, it's on 5 channels. So if you could just focus on one, that would be great. But anyways, so Michael, this is Robin. So
Nice to
he
meet you.
has a YouTube channel, The Dark Corners Review, which I absolutely love. So we're getting to get to know Robin a little bit right now. So Robin, what made you start this YouTube channel?
Well, I used to belong to a comedy writers group, which was chaired by Graham, who is the off camera half of Dark Corners. He doesn't like being on camera very much, and we're both big film fans, and particularly cult stuff. And his original pitch to me was, he said he wanted to harness my rage, that he's felt that I got angry about stuff, and that would make for funny reviews. And over the years, as I would say, the show has actually got a lot less angry, but it sort of developed into what it is. But yeah, it was basically his idea, and we enjoyed doing it. And it was a way we both like creating stuff, and it was a way to make something that we could put straight out there that felt like it had a tailor-made audience, and we hoped it would grow with time, which it has.
It has severely grown in time. From like more than like 7 years ago, your channel's been running, which is phenomenal.
Twice that.
Yes, which is great. Which film do you think history has unfairly erased, and why does it deserve resurrection?
One film. There's also, I mean, there's all sorts of fascinating films out there. I was actually, I don't hold things in my head particularly well. So generally, if I give an answer to the question, it's the film I watched earlier today or yesterday. That's about as far back as my memory goes. And today I was watching a film that I found through Forbidden Worlds Film Festival a few years ago called Kinzar. Have you heard of this? Either of you?
I believe so. Yeah.
I have not.
It's a Russian science fiction film from the 80s. So still during the sort of the Soviet era. And it's kind of satirical. It's one of the most bizarre films I've ever seen. I always remember the guy who introduced it at the festival where I first saw it said, okay, only a third of the audience are going to actually enjoy this film. The rest of you are going to regret even coming to the cinema. He described the effects as being aggressively average. And what happens, how I described it at the time was that it was like C-3PO and R2-D2 had, rather than meeting up with Luke Skywalker on Tatooine, they'd just stayed with the Jawas and discovered that the Jawas have a really complex social structure. It's also vaguely like, it's sort of like a sort of post-apocalyptic Wizard of Oz, but set in the old Soviet Union. It's just 2 guys from Earth who get stranded on a planet, on an alien planet, very, very weirdly. And it's one of the, for the first 20 minutes of the film, only those 2 people speak English. The aliens have their own language, which mostly just involves them saying one word, coup. And this seems to cover everything.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most bizarre films, but it's available on Bloodstream to stream at the moment. I really recommend it, but I'm one of the third of people who didn't walk out of the cinema.
I'll definitely check into it. I love like all sorts of sci-fi and horror films. So
yeah. So on one of your lives, I don't know if it was the previous one or the one before that, you were talking about Sherlock Holmes movies, in reference of Jeremy Brent. Now he's my absolute favorite one. Well, how do you feel about that?
I love Jeremy Brent. I mean, Jeremy Brent is very much my Sherlock Holmes. I watched those stories when I was a kid. I still think he's the one who. And it helps that the company that made it, the Granada company, they just decided to make the stories. It always astounds me how rare that is with all book adaptations. But I think particularly Sherlock Holmes, where people take the most successful series of detective stories ever written and go, well, we can improve on that. that strikes of arrogance to me. And the Jeremy Brett ones, for the most part, just stuck to the original stories.
Yes. Yes, definitely. So backstage, we did talk about, going back in time with the old classic, like Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy, black and whites, that you really just needed, the right tone of music. You didn't need the gore. You didn't need the cutting up in the blood. But now they're doing a lot of remakes. What's your take on that?
I think with the classic properties like Dracula and Frankenstein, then I mean, I don't know if that you can even call them remakes. There's so many different versions. They're just all versions of the same novel. So I tend to take them on a film by film basis, and some I like and some I don't. I absolutely hated Robert Eggers' Nosferatu last year, but I enjoyed Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which has proved a very divisive film. But I don't think I still prefer the James Whale Frankenstein and the Hammer one, if I'm honest, both of which Del Toro does reference. But I still enjoyed it. I think you could, I think that those films have been done, those stories have been done so many times that there's always space for other versions because they're all different enough. They're never going to detract from the originals.
Yes, definitely. Now, who's your favorite Dracula? I know this answer, but
Christopher Lee is my favorite Dracula.
Yeah.
He's
awesome.
Just amazing.
Yes,
yeah.
That's amazing. Is there a particular film that scared you as a child, but you feel different when we visited as an adult?
To be honest, Frankenstein scared me as a child. I think I got shown Frankenstein too young, and this is one of the great. It's not exactly a secret of Dark Corners, but one of the things that surprises people is I'm very easily scared and really squeamish. I don't know why I focused on horror films. I remember, I mean, to be honest, the film that really did scare me when I was a kid was The Dark Crystal, the Jim Henson film.
Oh yes,
because I was
those
way
puppets
too young
were crazy, man.
Yeah.
So many parents got that because they thought, oh, Jim Henson, the Muppets, and then just watch their children get traumatized for life. Now I love it.
To this day, I still don't watch it because the puppets kind of creeped me out when I was little.
Exactly. That's crazy.
A lot of nightmares.
Yeah. So what classic monster do you think best represents the modern audience?
A classic monster that represents the modern audience? Ooh,
yes.
That's a sophisticated question. I think the Invisible Man, I'm going to say. He's not, if you call him a monster. I think that the Invisible Man's endlessly reinventable. I think there's something very modern the concept of an invisible man can be taken in different ways, and you could there's something very modern about the idea. And of course, there was I can't remember who directed that now. Who did the recent Invisible Man, which again I wasn't quite so fond of, but it can be done.
Okay. What's the most misunderstood monster in the film's history, and what does it really symbolize?
God. I think that maybe the creature. I think we lost Michael. I think the creature from the Black Lagoon gets misunderstood.
Yes.
He's very much because I don't think because he hasn't got the name recognition of stuff like characters like Frankenstein and King Kong. We know that they are secretly sympathetic, and it's to the point where it's not so much a secret anymore. I don't think enough people have seen Creature from the Black Lagoon or looked at it in the same way. I think he's ended up with a bad press because you only see the pictures of him menacing Julie Adams, and he's just a monster. And he's not. He's just ripped from his environment. And that's another one Guillermo del Toro did a good job with recently in Shape of Water. That's a sort of unofficial sequel. But yeah, I've always got a lot of time for the creature. I think he gets a bad press.
One of my favorite ones too. I love the Creature from the Black Lagoon films. Those are great.
Yeah.
I think that the sequels sometimes get overlooked.
Yes.
They're not as good, but I think both of them hold up as continuing the same basic theme of a mistreated monster.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like I actually watched the reruns of Creature Double Feature. So I was a big Godzilla in the plastic suit. Yes. I love the old-fashioned Godzilla and Gamera and whatever other monsters were out there. But it was interesting in the film reviews that you did. I forgot the actor that actually played Godzilla for the longest time. But I just love the old movie, the old movie monster classics. I absolutely love them, and I'm a true Godzilla fan, I have to say.
Do you like Godzilla -1?
Godzilla -1?
Yeah, the when was that out? Last year?
I think so. I think it was last year.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that was.
I know Robert Rodriguez
was,
also did. I know Robert Rodriguez also did one not too long ago. I think it was like the year before last too.
Yeah, but Godzilla -1 was the I think the most recent Japanese one, and that was I thought it was the best Godzilla film since the first one. I thought it was a really extraordinary film. But that's worth watching if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I still always go back to the original Godzilla. But
yes,
there's been so many.
I know the very first one, and I absolutely loved your review on the one with Mega Godzilla. Because it takes us back in time to the original one to now how he is portrayed as a character. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean Godzilla changes a lot through the Toho franchise, with him becoming more of a comedy character and a children's character almost. That the first film is just an extraordinary piece of drama, and it's very much sort of Japan coming to terms with Hiroshima and so on. And it's sort of amazing that how twee the films become, but they all have their own sort of charm.
Yes, the Toho's Godzilla films are the best. I agree. I totally agree. So Robin, what's your take? So as you see, as time goes on, a lot of like the original like movies have got remade. Like, for example, Night of the Living Dead, or like, other remakes. Do you think they're getting better, or do you think that they should not have even redid them?
I think when it's a really great film to start with, I never see the point in remaking it. I mean, I suppose you can, but I don't understand why. Especially many years ago, we did a video that was like a list of films that you should remake, like bad films that could be remade, because there are some films that are flawed out there, but which had good ideas behind them, and those I think would be more suitable for remakes. I just don't see the point in remaking a film that's already great. I mean, it doesn't mean they're necessarily bad films, but I always go in with a sort of a negative perspective just from a kickoff.
Yeah. Like I loved Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original one.
Great film.
I haven't seen the remake of it, so I kind of don't want to, but
I mean, there are two remakes of that. I think that Invasion of the Body Snatchers is kind of the one that disproves me completely, because I love the 1950s one, but the 1970s one with Donald Sutherland is also a fantastic film.
That's true.
And very different ending. And I love how respectful it is, because it's got the cameo from Kevin McCarthy coming in almost as if he's been running for the last 25 years, and he runs into the shot and collapses on the car, and it feels like it's picking up in some way. But that's another really good film. I haven't seen the more recent one. It's not that much more recent, but more recent than the 1970s.
So which bad movie do you think secretly holds to its flaws? What absolutely is the worst movie that you ever saw? You probably have a bunch, but
yeah, I mean, I suppose I've got to say I have sort of like two answers to this, which are very, very different answers, because I think there's sort of like two versions of what you mean by bad movie, which is a stupidly complicated answer to a very simple question. But the movie, in the end, a movie is what you take away from it. It's how much you enjoy it, how you respond to it personally. So the movie I've hated the most is Peter Jackson's remake of King Kong. I can't hold it up as the worst made one by any means. I just utterly detest it. The worst movie I've seen in terms of actually how it was made and everything else about it is Monster a Go-Go, which is a film that was they started making it, I can't remember what year, but it broke down, and then someone bought up the footage and completed the film 6 years later, which is a disastrous thing to do to start with. But they had the problem, they got the lead actor back, but he must have had a really rough 6 years because he deteriorated so much that for the rest of the film he plays his own brother.
Man, it's crazy.
And that's dreadful. Also, it's boring, which is in the worst thing a movie can be is boring.
That's awesome.
There's another one called, I get the title wrong. I think it's The Petrified World, which is a one with John Carradine, and that's just 6 people walking around a cave for an hour.
It looked like I jot some of these down.
I just gave up.
So, would that be your strangest film?
Possibly. There's a lot of very strange films out there. Kinzaza might be one of my strangest films. I really can't stress enough how odd that is. Monster a Go-Go is weird. The story behind it is weirder than the story on film. I mean, I wouldn't say it's coherent, but you can understand what's going on. It's just bad. I don't know if that makes it strange.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's go behind the scenes. So I take it you're doing research and you're actually looking into the films that you actually want to do a video about. How much work is involved for you to actually go for step one all the way to actually have it on screen?
I mean, the bad movie reviews we get through pretty quickly. With the big specials, that's usually months of work, depending on what we're doing. And it depends who we're researching. We did a video recently about Britain's first horror star, Todd Slaughter, who's a fascinating character. I really enjoyed doing that video. That's 8 films he was in. Wow. But it didn't take very long to research because he's got one biography that's relatively recently done. And he was largely forgotten for most of the 20th century, so nobody wrote a word about him. On the other hand, when we do like the Hammer ones, then we might only be talking about a couple of films, but so much has been written about them and by so many knowledgeable people, and you get conflicting stories. So you want to try and check your facts as much as you can. I hate it when we get stuff wrong and people will point it out in the comments and think, damn it, now the video's out there and I've contributed to the sum of ignorance in the world. There's enough videos giving misinformation. I really don't want to be one of them. And so the more people have written about it, Universal's the same. There's so much written about them, and the trying to pare it down can be really difficult. So it's nice to find a subject like Todd Slaughter where you can just say, all right, here is the definitive text. Here is the only text ever written about the man. If it's not in here, then I'm not going to find it anywhere else. So I'll just do my best. And we make sure to name check these books in the video because it does feel a little bit like I've just cherry picked from their book and I'm going to profit off of it.
Yes. What would the most bizarre use of color or sound you've ever seen in film, and why did it work or fail?
Most bizarre use of color, gosh. I feel like I needed these questions in advance. Michael, say something while I think.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to say the original Jerusalem's Lot. If you remember that, there's like this one scene where you can see like this dead kid floating in front of the window, but you can
yes.
If you actually look closely, you can see the little fishing line like holding him up.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know what I can't think of what a bizarre use of color would be. There's a film called it's another Japanese one. I'm going to blank on the title. I can't believe this. Anyway, there's a Japanese ghost story film. It's a really good. 1 second. Kwaidan. Thank you. Do we know Kwaidan? Another great film. It's a anthology film of I think 4 ghost stories. Then the middle one of those is called, or one of them anyway. There can't be a middle one if there's 4. It's called Huichi the Earless, and there's a scene with ghosts in the middle of that, where basically there's a shamisen player who is entertaining a room full of ghosts who have been summoned up and are reenacting a battle in which they all died. And the color in that film is absolutely extraordinary. The skies are breathtaking, and the look of the ghosts, they're very sort of like theatrical, so they're plain white faces and the stark red injuries, and they change as it goes on. It's a remarkable use of color. I do like films where sometimes where they've sort of like lent into the artificial side of it, rather than just having everything has to be as realistic as possible. I like a film that goes against the grain with that and just makes it beautiful or makes it artistic in some way, to as long as it's not for as a gimmick, it's making a point in doing this. And Kwaidan's an extraordinary film for that.
Yes, definitely. Now you are a writer as well. I just downloaded, I believe, 7 or 8 books. But what got you into writing?
I mean, I was a writer first, really. I just wasn't I've never been a particularly successful writer. I guess having the web series gave me an audience. And as I was sort of looking at these films, and it was around the time, the reason I started writing these particular books, because they're all from a series, they're all a series set in the same world, was because Universal was talking about rebooting its old horror properties at the time. And I didn't object to the idea of it. I just thought they'll make a shit job of it, which, as it turned out, they mostly did, because that was right back when they were doing. I mean, Dracula Untold was supposed to be part of that, and that went so badly they scrapped it and restarted again with The Mummy, which went even worse because that was the Tom Cruise Mummy. So I just decided to write my own. And initially the idea was, okay, I'm going to start with The Mummy, and that will coincide with the Tom Cruise Mummy coming out. And every time they do a film, I'm going to do my version, my idea of how to use this monster on the same subject. And then they just stopped. So I just kept doing my books in isolation. And every now and then they happened to coincide with, I had a Frankenstein one come out recently. So that sort of coincided with Del Toro's film. But I think they just gave. I like horror as a way of as a way of telling other stories and bigger stories. I like horror films that have something to say, and I've usually got some nonsense to chat about. And I find it's nice if you can tell a good story and also have some bit of yourself in it as well. Then that's what the horror films I enjoy. The James Whale horror films, particularly from Universal's time, I think have such intelligence and wit to them. I think you get a real sense of the person. And I think most writers like me, we're pretty arrogant. We just want to talk about ourselves, and you put it in the context of a nice story.
Yeah, and some of the like some of them don't have a storyline. Like I get so confused what's going on. In all honesty, you know.
In my books or the older films?
No, just movies in general. The movies in general.
Yeah.
Yes.
I watched this one not too long ago called The Witch. That was really confusing. It's like one of those that's kind of got like the ending of the movie Hereditary, where it's just all completely messed up at the end, but you want to watch it till it goes like towards the end. It's just like pointless, pretty much.
Yeah, I still want to go see the new Frankenstein movie that's out. I want to go and see that. Just because I'm a big Frankenstein. But you liked it, right, Robin?
I enjoyed it, but I know that because I did a review for a streaming strand.
Yeah,
I know that it's really, really divided people. Some people are absolutely categorically loathed it. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was Del Toro's best. I definitely didn't think it was the best Frankenstein. I found it almost too respectful. I think he knew that there were a lot of people who were quite invested in the story and the book and all the other films. And if you know the sort of the Hammer films and the Universal films, you can spot the moments where he is visually name checking them. There's a wonderful Hammer reference in the middle of it. But it felt almost like he felt the need to please everybody, and he's produced a really handsome. It's a gorgeous looking film, and it ticks all the boxes. I almost feel like maybe he could have taken a few more risks, but I did enjoy the film. I don't want to undersell it. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to answer a question for Laura. Laura, so Facebook apparently is having technical difficulties. So it is streaming from the CMPS YouTube channel, as well as Wonders of the World. The reason why you see two of the same podcasts, like on like YouTube, etc., is now StreamYard has two platforms. They have one playing platform that you could actually see it through mobile and Instagram, and I believe TikTok. And the other one you could actually is a widescreen that you could see it through YouTube, etc. I just put it to widescreen because I do see it's confusing people, because when you go on the YouTube channel, it actually has two of the same podcasts in different places. So that's why it's a little bit confusing today. Sorry. Love StreamYard and streaming platforms, huh? Gotta love it.
Yep.
Michael, do you have any questions?
So, what is your most favorite movie, like in favorite genre?
Me? Gosh. That's such a hard question. If we're talking horror, which I guess we have been mostly, I always give my favorite movie is The Bride of Frankenstein. I love that film. It's one that every time I watch it, I just think, yes, there's a reason I always say that. I just think it is a deliberately funny film. It has its scary moments, but it's a great drama as well. It's very sad. There are bits in that can absolutely bring you to tears. Outside of horror, I've got a few favorites. There's a film called Sunrise, a silent film that I'm evangelical about. I always try and put that into it's well, if you like silent films, you've probably heard of it, but it's just a beautiful film, and that's directed by F.W. Murnau, who directed Nosferatu and Faust, so a great horror director as well. But Sunrise isn't horror. Sounds like a revisionist vampire film, but it's not. How about you?
Me in general, or
what's your favorite?
Either.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to say Night of the Living Dead. I like the original, and I also like the remake. So.
I saw the original on. Sorry.
Yeah. The original was awesome, but also like the one that Robin mentioned is pretty cool too. I love that. Love the ending of it too.
Night of the Living Dead's extraordinary. I saw it on the big screen at the Cinema Museum in London, and I think it's like an example. Very often when we do the bad movie reviews, we get comments of people saying, "What do you want?" They had no money, and you're just having it. And I try never to criticize films for how little money they had, because usually what I'm criticizing is the dialogue, which costs you nothing. Good dialogue costs the same as bad dialogue. But Night of the Living Dead, I always feel, is the one you can hold up and say they had no money. There are bits in that where the sound quality is appalling. There's famously when they're hammering the door shut, then the hammer blows don't actually match with the sound of it at all. There's so much technically you can pick holes in it, and it doesn't matter at all because it's a great piece of writing. It's great acting. It's brilliantly directed. It's so tense. You can make a really great film on a minuscule budget as long as it's the right film.
Absolutely. I know you guys don't want to hear what mine is because it's kind of corny. It's kind of corny. I do like Interview with the Vampire. And also Bram Stoker's Dracula. I'm kind of like a romance horror kind of chick, I like a little bit of both.
Never seen Interview with the Vampire.
It's pretty good,
but I've never seen the film.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I do, and I'm a big, I'm a big like Tom Cruise fan as well. So Interview with the Vampire, I really liked it. But Bram Stoker's Dracula is pretty cool too. I do like that with who is it? Renee Wheeler's in it. But yeah, I do. Those are my two favorite. And of course, like the classic movies, like The Mummy, I would say is my favorite one. So do like that as well. So do you think horror films, do you see horror films as a mirror of society's hidden fears or as a ritual exorcism? Like, do you think that basically it's society related movies that are coming out right now, or?
I think it certainly can be. I don't think it's the case of everything, but there are recognizable trends within decades and so on. You think that there's probably a reason that all these similar films are coming out that goes beyond one was successful and everyone's just piggybacking off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we mentioned Invasion of the Body Snatchers earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and in the 1950s, then it's you're dealing with well, to be honest, you're doing the same thing in the 50s and the 70s, that there's a certain amount of Cold War paranoia. It was quite a long war. But that certainly feels like it's reflecting current fears. And I think the tone of those two movies changes based on how society has changed in that time.
Exactly.
I think the movies have always done that. I think sometimes people recognize it more now. People say, and people criticize movies for talking about current subjects when they should just be scaring them like they did in the old days. But I think probably the older movies did the same. It's just you weren't around then. You didn't know what people were being scared of.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we talked about Godzilla. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the great examples of a film that's reflecting something that's a real life horror. And it does an extraordinary job of it.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like the old classic, had like I forgot which one it was. But it actually, so like Godzilla does like a little step dancing. And it's always funny how they have like the actors there, and it's like the words come out before their mouth. It's like all like it's just fun to watch. It really is. Because back then they had what, like Chinese or Japanese actors for those movies?
They're all Japanese films, the Toho
Yes.
ones, and then they've been dubbed later. I'm not sure how much the dubbing is based on the original script sometimes.
Yeah. It's just fun to see. It really is.
Yeah. On the subject of dubbing, we got a box set of Mexican films with the Mexican wrestler Santo in, which is a ridiculous series of films. But it seemed we bought the films blind. We knew we were going to review them, but the dubbing is absolutely extraordinary. It seems like I think it was all dubbed by about 3 men and 1 woman who are just doing all the voices. And the only way that they can differentiate between the characters when they're doing so many is for them to put on accents. So these Mexican people suddenly become Scottish or something. It's hilarious. It adds a whole new aspect to the films. Not a good one, but a very amusing one.
And I tell you, like, film has come so far. It's like, now we have like not necessarily the AI, but we have so many advances now on filming techniques. It's amazing how far it's come. Really amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. There's a lot of fantastic things you can do with modern special effects. I always think it's best when you use the effects for what you need, rather than thinking we can do whatever we want, so we can do everything we want. I think back when it was more difficult, then people only did the bare minimum with effects because it was too difficult to do anything more. But now, because people can do everything, there's a tendency to do everything rather than what you strictly need, which I think is usually when films are best.
Yeah.
Out
of all times, you probably have many, but what is your favorite actor?
My favorite actor is Lon Chaney.
Okay.
Another silent film actor, Phantom of the Opera, London After Midnight. I'm a bit of a silent film buff, and Lon Chaney's how I got into horror film originally, and into film criticism. I wouldn't be doing what I do if it wasn't for Lon Chaney and for a book that belonged to my grandpa, who died when I was very young, and he was a huge film buff. And my mum showed me this book with all these pictures of Chaney with all the different makeups in, and I became fascinated out of that, and everything else came from that point. So I owe my career, such as it is, to Lon Chaney. So it'd be churlish to pick anybody else as a favorite actor.
Yeah, definitely. I have so many Can't even. But we actually have some questions here. So Sandra's asking, is there an old horror movie you would like them to remake or do a sequel?
We always say on Dark Corners there's a Hammer film called Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, and it was originally intended to be part of a series, and it because for various reasons Hammer was on its last legs by that point, and the series never materialized, and it has so much potential for a series. And if it was done right, if they were actually picking up from where that left off, obviously with new actors and so on, if it was done right, I would still love to see a sequel to Captain Kronos, or maybe a reboot, and I'd like to write it.
Yeah, definitely. Laura missed the beginning of it, but she's asking how you got into the whole movie scene.
Well, I guess I kind of just told that story with my Lon Chaney anecdote. But yeah, it was partly that. The other thing that got me sort of interested in horror films was we were cleaning out my parents' loft, and this again when I was quite young, and discovered a collection of famous monsters of Filmland magazines from the 60s, that Forrest J. Ackerman used to do. And again, I got interested in a lot of these films without having seen them, so I knew all the pictures and I knew all the monsters. And then back when I was a kid, of course, you couldn't just stream all these films, so it gave me something to seek out. And then years, sometimes decades later, you're coming across the films that you saw pictures from, and that's kind of cool.
It is really cool. Absolutely love it. We have another question here by Roger. So Robin, why do you think Hollywood seems intent to stretching out endless franchises instead of focusing on more singular original content?
I think it's mainly money. Certainly in terms of mainstream cinema and the mainstream studio cinema, the sheer volume, the amount of money that's being spent on a movie means it can't fail. They will bankrupt themselves if one movie goes under, and that never really used to be the case, that you would put out more of a tranche of films. So then the best way to do that is to make something that you know people will come and see. It's why my most hated sentence in film criticism is when critics say, and it happens a lot of Marvel films, is when they say it does a good job of setting up the next movie. That's to me, that's not praise. You're just saying this movie's a bit iffy, but maybe the next one will be better. And when you have stuff like these ongoing franchises, there's actually no reason to make a great film. You don't really want to, because then if you make a great film, your chances of the next one and the next one and the next one being as good is greatly reduced. If you make an average film and people are fine with that, they will keep on going to see it again and again and again. So it's all about money. The incentive it's just a lot easier to invest people in a franchise as long as they're interested enough and there's the promise of more to come. Then it's just money in the bank for them.
Yeah, exactly.
They have to really screw up to stop people from coming.
I think what it is too, like filmmakers are running out of ideas, because if you notice, like the same with music, you hear the same kind of tempo in like several songs that is remade, but the same with filming. It's like, you know, a lot of people are running out of ideas, like to develop a film or a storyline that's never been done before. So I think that's what the issue is as well, you know?
Yeah. Although, I mean, when you look at just this year, something like Sinners comes out, which is a terrific. I mean, right, there's some stuff in it that you've seen before, but a fantastic film that did really, really well. And you hope that this will drive different behavior in the box office, but the studios are just so risk averse. So I think we should be grateful when films like that come out, and you can just say, "Wow, look at that! A fantastic piece of original filmmaking."
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if we have any more questions going. Yes, Wayne, I know. Wayne says, if you need a leading lady, my twin sister Crystal is a fantastic actress. Yes. Have you ever thought about going into the
Kronos?
Yeah, have you ever thought about going into the filming business, Robin?
I we've tried making. I've tried making a few. I did a little web series some years ago based on a script of mine. That was just a sort of little comedy drama thing. In terms of horror, occasionally I've got something waiting on a hard drive, waiting for me to edit it, that I shot. I think it was only 2 years ago. It might have been 3, and I just got busy. And the truth is, I love writing the stuff. I hate shooting it. I enjoy editing it, but I'm not a very good editor, and it takes me forever. I would like to do more. It's just I like the writing bits. The rest of it kind of leaves me cold.
Yeah. Are you more of like a fictional, non-fictional? Like, would you write like a documentary, or would you more go into like a character type of non-fictional way or setting?
I prefer writing fiction. I mean, that's what the books are. The Dark Corners was sort of was really just, it wasn't something that was ever sort of like on my life plan. I want to do a series about old movies, but we started doing it and people liked it, and I do enjoy doing it. But given my choice, I'd rather write fiction.
Yeah, definitely. I like fiction myself. What film do you love that has the most critics, critique on it? Like, do you find movies that you actually like that other people don't feel the same way about it?
Few. I suppose that's true of everyone. The one that I think got panned and which no one seems to like but me is an M. Night Shyamalan film called, is it called The Lady in the Lake or something like that?
Yes, The Lady in the Lake.
Lady in the Water. Yep. Lady in the Water. I'm the only man who likes that. I don't know.
I actually like that movie too, so you're not the only one.
Thank you. Thank you.
There we go.
It's not as bad as people say. It got absolutely panned.
Yeah.
He's made way worse.
Yeah, like the ending of what was it? The latest one that he did. I can't remember it. I think it was not the latest one, but Signs. I didn't really like the ending of Signs. So
no. He writes interesting scripts. Sometimes he's one of these people who has interesting ideas, but they don't always pan out.
Yeah, definitely.
Another question's come up.
Yep, let's have Julie has another question. Do you think people are less interested in movies now or more interested in miniseries online platforms? That's interesting.
I definitely think people are less interested in cinema now than they used to be. People still watch movies online, but it's harder. I think it's harder and harder to get people to go out and watch them. And you've got to sort of regard it more as like being an all part of the experience. It's a lovely feeling sitting in a darkened movie theater and the screen lighting up. I still enjoy that very much. But
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Maybe the cinemas may be past tense. It's like the malls. Like, who goes to malls anymore? We do all our shopping online.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. There's something wonderful about the cinema experience. As I mentioned earlier, I go to a film festival called Forbidden Worlds in Bristol, and they have the IMAX screen there that they use.
Yes.
It only gets used once a year, and I got to see King Kong on that, and you're just like,
nice.
That was an extraordinary experience, because I was sitting quite close to the front because I hadn't paid for my ticket. I was there as press, and I felt obligated not to take one of the good seats. And honestly, if you actually have to lean back to look at Kong, then it's a whole other experience. They showed Attack of the 50-Foot Woman as well, and honestly, it's the only time I've thought there's actually something good in this film, because it's a dreadful film with the best poster ever made. But actually watching it in IMAX, it had something else. It's the only time I've been impressed by it.
That's awesome. I actually went to see when Jaws was in 3D. I forgot which Jaws it was, but at the ending when they like blew up Jaws, it's like all the guts and gores like came right at you, and I was like, ah, yeah, it was kind of, the 3D is kind of cool as well.
I think the last film I went to go see was Sharknado, and I still want my money back from that one.
Graham, the other half of Dark Corners, he went to see Jaws in what they call 4D. Where basically they shake your chairs and throw water at the audience.
Oh my God, that must have been crazy.
He said it was sometimes it was quite effective, other times it was a horrible experience. Just
I can
I always think
imagine.
if the film's good, you don't need any of that shit.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that must have been funny. Goodness. Okay. So Sage has a question. Besides your own experiences, what do you find as inspiration for your writing?
Oh, certainly the movies I watch. I mean, in terms of the series that I was talking about earlier, which is all inspired by horror films. So stuff comes from there a great deal. But to be honest, outside of the media that you consume and your own experiences, there's not a lot else. I don't know where else you would get inspiration from, or I
Yeah.
don't. But I like being able to take bits from life or from ordinary life and being able to put that into a horror context in some way, or at least into a horror story. That's one of the things I enjoy most in my writing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. Have you filmed in any famous locations?
Gosh, not really. We did. Graham and I used to sort of like film stuff aside from Dark Corners, really, and that we went to sort of like some of the better known graveyards in London and places around the streets of London. We did a little bit of filming, but not really in a famous location. No, sorry.
Let's see here. Oh, they keep on coming. Thank you, everyone.
All right, questions.
Roger, so when it comes to book adaptations, why has James Herbert not been adapted more? Some of his could be better than Stephen King. The Rat trilogy could be amazing. Sorry.
Amazing. I genuinely, there's no reason I would know, but I really don't know on that. I wonder if it's that Stephen King ones have a bit of a track record, and I think that started quite early. I'm trying to think if there was a Frank Herbert one that was like a proper flop, because that's usually what happens when you think, oh, this author is amazing, why aren't they being adapted more? But there was one quite early on that just did catastrophically. And probably wrongly, everyone says, "Oh, well, it must be because the director and the producer and the stars aren't going to blame themselves or each other. Then we'll just go to the writer who probably won't speak up for himself." So I wonder if it's that.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's see. I knew. Oh. This is just a comment he made. AV Stevie. That's why I bought an 80-inch TV and I used surround sound that I could immerse myself on my own living room, and then pause it when I got run to the restroom. I'll put it that way. That's
again
awesome.
Graham, who I do Dark Corners with, has he's got quite a large TV anyway, and he bought. No, actually, we got sent it for a review. One of those projectors that will throw the screen onto your wall.
Oh wow!
Oh, okay.
He thought this was absolutely fantastic, even though his living room from the wall to the chair is about 6 feet. It's just about 7 or 8 feet. It's just completely pointless. You just have to sit back like that the whole time. I don't want to watch any screen where I have to turn my head. Which was, I suppose, the problem with the IMAX one. But
that's amazing. I would like to get a bigger TV as it is. Yeah, I only got.
I'm actually in the market for a bigger TV this year for Christmas, though.
Amazing. It's amazing. But yeah, like I agree as well. Like it's not like you get the best like feature in a cinema. Definitely. Where you get to view with everybody. I tell you. Yeah. Although I could not stay in my seat for Lord of the Rings. I tell you, I kept on getting up, sitting back down, sitting back down. Because it's a long movie.
Mm-hmm.
I went and saw at the Queen Elizabeth Hall. I went to a screening of Abel Gance's Napoleon, which is a silent film. It's a massive cause célèbre amongst sort of like proper hardcore film fans. It's been restored over, like, I think about 40-50 years it took to sort of piece it back together. It never got shown properly. That's 6.5 hours long and has 2 breaks and a dinner in the middle of it you have to stop for. So but it's an extraordinary film. It was an incredible experience. It's stuff like that. Maybe that's the future of cinema, that there'll be sort of like more film will be more of an experience, like going to the theater, something that you do less regularly, but you sort of push the boat out when you do.
Yeah, definitely. So what's your plans, Robin, for the future? Do you have any projects or ideas, or
in terms of Dark Corners, we've always got stuff in the pipeline. We're doing, in the new year, we're doing a top 10 Bela Lugosi horror films. Then we're going to do a special about the director Todd Browning. Probably follow that up with Lon Chaney's top 10 horror films. In my writing, sorry,
I said I love Bela Lugosi films.
I do too.
Vincent Price is another good one.
Vincent Price, yes.
There's a lot of crap from Lugosi as well, but he's always such a presence. He's always Bela Lugosi, except in Son of Frankenstein, where he plays Igor. I think that's an extraordinary performance. He's brilliant in that. He's so seldom got asked to act in his film career. He was a big stage star certainly in Hungary before he came to horror film, and people just wanted him to be Bela Lugosi. But there's a handful of films where he really gives a great performance.
Yes.
But yeah, in my own writing, there is a project. I'm approaching 3 years working on the same novel, which is not one of the series that I do, but which is this enormous thing that's required a great deal of research. How much money I've spent on books. So I'm looking over to the pile of books that is on my floor, which constitutes the research for this damn thing. It's set in Hollywood, partly in the 1920s and partly in the 1930s. So it's all still film related, but it's about 3 times the length of the books I've written before, and that's like my magnum opus, my big novel. And when it fails, it will probably be a tremendous strain on me. But it's just what I've been thinking about it for over a decade. So, and I thought, I've got to get this written, otherwise I just never will. So please watch out for that, because it's been an extraordinary thing.
Yes. And everybody, on the description for this podcast are all Robin's social media links. So be sure to check out his channel, subscribe, give him a like, share, and definitely follow his channel. And like I said, And like I said, I do have all of your social media links on the description.
Thanks.
So everybody, please.
We're trying to hit 100,000 followers, YouTube subscribers before Christmas.
Where are you now?
100 short.
Oh,
I can't remember exactly. We're a few hundred. I think maybe 1,500 away. I don't think we're going to quite do it based on the rate of uptake. But at the start of the year, we were 12,000 away, and we thought if we did 1,000 a month, we'll get there. But we didn't. We haven't quite kept that up. But
that would be easy.
I think it'll be in January, which is still nice. It just would have been good to get it done.
I'm definitely going to sub after the stream is over. So
yeah, everybody, please check out Robin. He does amazing work. So definitely, and we definitely spread the word out, because we do want to get him to 100,000. That would be amazing. We got another question here. Is there any special effects in movies that you try to replicate in your movies?
I don't make movies so much. I write books, but when we did a special about the Invisible Man, then we tried to replicate as close as we could how they did it in the 30s. We used green screen instead of black velvet, but it's the same basic thing. And Graham made a short film that, again, he has never put out there, which is a shame, called Zombie Fight Club. And he wanted me to be in it just for as like an in-joke for Dark Corners fans. So I played a zombie who had his head cut off. So I had to be stripped to the waist and have a little collar of green screen around my neck, and then the makeup girl did like the severed the blood effects around the top of the green screen collar, and I just had to fake being beheaded, and someone pulled up my head and I was moving up and down. That was quite cool. It's not exactly how that sort of thing got done back then, but like I said, with The Invisible Man, they used black velvet rather than green screen, but it's the same basic technology. It's just a lot easier now. I think the effects in The Invisible Man for their time were absolutely breathtaking.
Oh, thank you, Wen, for subbing. Thank you so much. So, guys, you know, besides, so again, I have all his social media links in the description. You know, does anybody else have any questions? Been lurking for, but I have to leave to go to a family event. Oh, thank you so much, Tina, for joining. Thank you so much. Be sure to check out Robin's channel as well. That would be greatly appreciated. Does anybody have any questions? Michael, do you have any more questions?
So, who's your favorite director?
I usually say F.W. Murnau. Mainly because I went to see, I mentioned the film earlier, Sunrise, and I went to see that at the Old Arts Theatre in Cambridge, where I used to live. And I went along knowing he directed Nosferatu and not knowing anything about him or the film beyond that. And it was one of those moments in a cinema where you realize you're watching something that's made by someone who saw the possibilities of film, who just had the Sunrise is so different to everything else that was being made at that time, and it just uses film in such an extraordinary way. I love it, and I think it was the experience more than anything else. And since then, I've sought out all of half of his films are lost, but I've watched all the ones you can find, and there's just something about his filmmaking that works for me.
Very cool.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, if nobody has any questions, it's been an hour. Robin, thank you so much for joining us.
That's been a pleasure.
Yeah. And if anybody doesn't have any questions, I'm gonna put Robin backstage, and then we're gonna wrap up the show. So thank you again, Robin, and we'll see you shortly.
Thank you.
Well, that was amazing, wasn't it?
It was.
That was really
Thank
amazing.
you for inviting me up here.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I'm sorry it took me so long to get home. Like I said, I didn't want to go over to the speed limit just to get here. So
yeah, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. You know, it was great to have Robin on, and thanks Robin again for his crazy schedule that he has to been able to come in and join me. It was much appreciated. So before we wrap this up, Michael, do you have anything coming up?
Well, I'm going to be live December the 2nd with Friday House at 5 p.m. Central on my channel. So
that is awesome. And next Friday will be my very first podcast by myself. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be something different. I'm definitely going to, you know, whoever wants to learn about crystals, chakras, meditation, Wiccan, anything like that. It's just you're going to be you and I, you know, talking and getting to know each other, which would be great. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. And I've been wanting to do it for some time now, spiritual wise as well. So I'm pretty excited about it. Really excited. So we would like to thank guest Robin. Be sure to check out his channel. And again, I have the description, all of his social media links on the description. Be sure to check him out. He definitely highly deserves to get to 100,000 subscribers. So please go like, follow, subscribe to his channel. Will be greatly appreciated. Until we meet again, may the moon guide your path. May the flames keep your spirit bright. And may we all walk forward to find with magic positivity. And until we meet, guys, see you later. Take care.